Hey guys, I'm Abby from MSEC Cuttlefish 6165, and today we're going to talk about hardware and software mapping. So before we start, I just want to make sure that all of you have your FTC Driver Station app downloaded and set up, as in connected to your robot and all that. You also want to have your components such as your motors, servos, anything that you want to configure uh, connected to your robot, to your expansion hub. And you also want to have Android Studio ready with the GitHub repository from FTC. So to configure your robot, you want to open your phone and in the FTC driver control app, and the screen should look something similar to this, where I'm hovering my mouse. You want to hit these three dots at the top right and hit configure robot, and then hit new. Once you once you're done with that, you should see something similar to this, where you hit scan, and it's going to show you any devices that it recognizes that are connected. In this example, it says expansion hub portal 1. Now, once you get that, you want to hit expansion hub portal 1, and it will take you to this. You might, in this case, I'm showing expansion hub 2, but you might have more than that. It depends on how your robot's built. But yeah, you want to hit expansion hub 2 in this case. It might be something else in on your phone. Yeah, once you hit that, you're gonna get a list of devices. For this particular example, I'm just gonna use motors, but the process is pretty much the same for any device you're using. An exception, though, is if we're connecting something like a color sensor, then anything that doesn't have a name popping up in this list. In reality, what's happening is that it just has a weird name, so I would recommend that you refer to the Android Studio guide that FTC gives you. I'm gonna link it in the description below, but yeah, just refer to that. They teach you how to configure each and every device. So if you can't, recognize a name here, then that should give you the answer. But yeah, once you hit motor there, then you're gonna get this weird list with where it says port, and it gives a port number, and if it asks you if anything's attached. Since we're going with the motor, I'm gonna go with the Tetrix motor in specific here. And yeah, so now you want to pay attention to your robot and see what port in particular your device is connected to. So in this case, a Tetrix motor. You want to see which port it's connected to. I'm gonna assume port 0 and go with that. So yeah, if it's connected to port 0, you hit the drop down arrow and select Tetrix motor. After doing that, this is the really important part. You have to name it something. So preferably name it something that you would recognize, such as, say, it's the robot, or the motor is on the front left of your robot. Then name it front left motor. By doing that, it'll help you recognize it. And this name right here is important for later, because this name is what connects your software to your hardware. Yeah, that's basically it. After you do that, you just hit done, and yeah, that's all you have to do for your configuration. Now comes the Android Studio part, which isn't really hard. So I'm gonna jump into Android Studio, and all right, so I'm in Android Studio right now, and this is what your Android Studio should look like if you've just downloaded the GitHub repository and not done anything. So there's two folders. Your FTC robot controller is the code that FTC gives you. We'll get to that later. And team code is where you want to write your own code. So inside this folder right here. So if you go into Java and go into external examples, FTC gives you all these examples to, or sorry, yeah, it gives you all these examples to use in your code to maybe learn from it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to write my own class. So what you do is go on here and click new, hit Java class. Name it something meaningful, because this is the name that you're going to recognize the class by. I'm just going to name it tutorial, because that's what I'm doing. So yeah, this is what it should look like. So once you have this going, there's two different ways to go here. You could either say extends op mode, and yeah, you could either say extends op mode, which is for which you have to type in two different methods, one called init and the other one called loop. So yeah, you could do this. I am personally not going to use op mode. I'm gonna use something called linear op mode, which we'll talk about right now. But yeah, also quick tip: when you're typing in something, so for example, I'm typing in linear op mode, right? If you're on Windows, you can hit Alt Enter, or if you're on a Mac, just hit Enter for it to autofill. And by autofilling, it's not only going to finish, linear op mode the word, but it's also going to import whatever it needs to import for the class to work. That works for Java in general. But yeah, here you are. So the first thing you want to do is type in your run op mode method. This is something that linear op mode needs. The linear op mode class needs run op mode to work. And in this, you want to type in wait for start. So the thing here is anything above wait for start is your initialization. This is where we're going to type our software mapping part of the tutorial. And under that, you want to type your teleop or autonomous or whatever. So yeah, so any code that goes in here it should be your initialization. So to software map anything that you've configured on your robot, may it be a servo or a motor or whatever. First thing, you want to go up here above run op mode and declare the variables. For doing that, you want to type in public. So I'm just going to use DC motor as an example, as in DC motor as in just a motor. So I'm just going to use DC motor as an example and name it motor test because that's something I used before. So yeah, there's your motor test, and what you want to do with that is then go into your run op mode class and type in motor test equals, you want to type in motor test equals hardware map dot get, and in brackets, since I'm using a DC motor, I'm going to say DC motor dot class and comma, and you want to do in quotation marks, you want to type in the name that you give to the motor in your configuration. So I named it motor test, so that's what I'm going to call it here. That name is really important because this name right here, it's going to recognize the expansion, however, recognizes the motor by the name motor test. But your software recognizes the motor by the variable motor test. So you see the difference there, right? So yeah, this line basically connects your variable to your actual motor. Now you have to repeat this pattern with any device connected, maybe another motor or perhaps a servo. I'm just going to show you how to do it with the servo. So same thing, you declare public servo, I'm going to call it servo test. Oh, I forgot to import the servo thing. So what you want to do is halfway through a servo, just press Alt Enter or Enter, and yeah. So I have my variable declared. Now I'm going to do servo test equals hardware map dot get servo class. Sorry, servo dot class, and then in quotes, I'm just going to call it servo. Oh, I misspelled it there. Sorry. In quotes, I'm just going to call it servo test for now. So yeah, I believe you guys should see a pattern right here where you're doing hardware map dot get whatever type of whatever type of the device is, and then the name that you gave in the configuration file. And that is that's it. You're done with your hardware and software mapping. Just repeat this with each and every component that you have in your robot. Thanks for watching.